Everyone eats out, but people often miss how the food arrives on their plate. Every meal has a story of growers, suppliers, founders, and operators making it all happen. Welcome to Grounded. I'm Lauren Mitchell, and each week I will bring you conversation with the amazing people behind the brands you know and the ones you'll want to know. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, the leading food service digital procurement network, powered by data, software, and collaborative relationships. Let's get grounded. Today's guest is a seasoned hospitality expert and supply chain executive with over 30 years of experience driving impact across the food service industry. His expertise spans purchasing, distribution, operations, and building lasting vendor partnerships. Due to his expertise, he's been called upon as a panelist at events, most recently the IFMA President's Conference. And he's formerly led strategic supply chain initiatives for renowned brands like Fat Brands, Noodles and Company, Fox and Hound, and On the Border Mexican Grill in Cantina. Currently, he is the vice president of supply chain at El Pollo Loco. Jeff Burrus, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always great to see you.
Thank you. And listeners, thank you for tuning in. For those of you that have been listening for a while, you may know I've had Jeff on the show. Gosh, I guess it's been a little over a year and a half ago now. But had so much to offer. I got such great feedback on what you shared on that show. And now you're with a new brand since then, although we can say it's been a while now, over a year. So much to share just on that front. So very excited. Why don't we just start there in terms of, coming into a new brand, taking kind of a look overall, the experience of learning it, getting to know how it's different. Would you share a strategy or operational efficiency that has had the biggest impact on your work at El Pollo Loco so far?
I think coming in and wanting to understand the brand and its heritage and what makes it unique is the first place you start with anything like this. You want to come in and have an appreciation and set guardrails or at least lanes that you guide your decision making process. It's getting to know how the brand operates, what's core to the consumer in terms of where they find value and appreciate the brand, and then just looking at the landscape of who you're partnered with and understanding their needs and trying to make sure that you are delivering things that help their jobs be better. I'm a big believer in empathy. I think that the only way to really appreciate who you work with and what you can do for them is to understand their role and the different challenges they face. And one of the things I loved about coming here, and it's something I love to do at any brand I work at, is to really get into the restaurants and work side by side with the team members and understand how our decisions at a corporate level impact the ability to execute.
Absolutely. When we spoke before, you talked about some of the ways that we can just drive costs down without even making changes in terms of a supplier, some of those efficiencies. Can you unpack that a little bit in terms of before you even make any, drastic changes, just some of the things that you look at specifically?
Yeah, sometimes change is hard, especially commercialization of recipes that have been in place with particular suppliers for a very long time. So you want to look through the system to see things like, am I transporting this at an optimal cost? Is it in the right pack size? Is the yield still work because our menu mix has changed? Are there any efficiency variances that you're seeing in the store level back office systems that you can tackle first while you take the time to determine if you have the right recipe, if it has the right ingredients, is it modernized for the way commodities are structured these days? Is the costing transparent? All of those opportunities are just examples of where you can go and how you can look at things without necessarily looking to terminate an existing or change an existing
Mm.
supplier relationship. Maybe the relationship just needs a renewal or a refresh based on the different dynamics that have come across over the years.
Absolutely. How about a decision that you've made that's had a longer term impact on your supply chain? And that could be something that was a positive or a negative impact.
I think spending time talking to our suppliers first. Um, Also going back and getting outside of the loop of just looking at things from an anecdotal filter, especially purchase history, usage, all of those things we've implemented. new systems here that allow us to see and forecast in real time, see qualitative metrics like FSIM, being able to see alerts as they come in for issues with products, anything from leaking bags to off color. And we're able quickly to jump in, find out what these are, put QA holds on or adjust supply, shift supply to make sure it doesn't become more of a systemic thing. Historically, those would have been uh, not even brought up until they became much larger problems and they were across the swath of restaurants. So I think just getting in there and looking across all of the different data sets, putting them into a centralized place, and then taking that data back to our suppliers, it's really been something that I've been excited about. And as the wonderful team that I inherited when I got here, they had been working in Excel for years and doing the very best possible, but now it's like putting it on turbocharge. So I think integrated systems has been the best. And then the other, to the earlier point, is working with the suppliers to understand what we've missed over the years. Like, what haven't we taken advantage of as they've grown, their functionalities have increased, and their business models have become better.
Oh, it's so cool. I love your initial response to that, just spending time talking to your suppliers. El Pollo Loco has been a brand around since, I mean, 1975. So I imagine there's been a long-term partnerships there. So you really carry a tone of just respect toward, okay, so people are here, have been with the brand for a long time. The systems have been in place for a long time. But of course, as technology has advanced and the industry has changed, what are some of those improvements that we can kind of thread into the brand and some of that perspective that you have brought, I'm sure, just in the last year?
It's been funny, Lauren. I have been so fortunate to inherit a couple of team members that have been with the brand for 20 years.
Wow.
And it has been so great to have these conversations and not have responses be like, we did that before and it didn't work. We have the conversation say, we did something similar to that. And the next step is, why didn't it work? What did we do? How did we approach it? What holistically about the business was unique at that time that may not have facilitated that being a successful event? Because as you know, there's so many components that come into success, and trying to establish that, just pure history and we tried that, it didn't work. It's just not the same anymore. You have to go back sometimes to those older bags of tricks to find wins, and having the history and the team members like Lynn Pryor, who's on my team, and just being able to ask those questions just prevents us from making so many mistakes because we didn't examine the circumstances by which that situation was being applied.
Mm. Yeah, Lynn's a wonderful person. It's actually it's great to hear how many team members have worked with her, just over the years and speaking with her myself. I share the same sentiment. All right, let's get into some of the risks and challenges side of things. So the not so fun topics, but we always learn so much in these experiences, and there's so much going on right now with tariffs and geopolitics. So why don't we start there? You've got avocados, you've got tomatoes and other such items on your menu. Have the tariffs impacted your sourcing or your strategy for sourcing going forward? Or can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So you kind of have to look at it by putting the categories into buckets. Preliminarily, we thought we were just going to have so much trouble with the fresh produce items, especially coming from Mexico, because the tensions seemed to be so high between Canada and Mexico and the US at that time. But when things pivoted and the USMCA was, sort of how we were told we were going to follow it, it really helped us because we had some really strong partnerships with our produce partner growers. And we had gone direct to them for years and had been able to negotiate our product into our DCs. And they had just been great. They tried to keep things real time, not implementing unnecessarily price hikes based on what anticipation was going to be in terms of what actually was going to take place. Uh, on the other side, we're pretty heavily domestically sourced. The one of the only areas that we see or have impact has been some of our packaging from Asia. And that has been something that we've been working with our suppliers to mitigate the impact there. We brought, like many, some things over early, heavy supply. Our lead on the packaging side, Kathy, did such a great job of staying on top and being proactive on that to keep things in a good place as things smoothed out. So we've really been able to reduce the risk. We focused on so many fresh ingredients over the years. They just have to be sourced domestically, right? Like if we're the best possible chicken, the best possible produce into our guests, menu ingredients or menu items, you had to stay domestic.
Mhm. Actually, that was gonna be one of my questions, even, prior to El Pollo Loco. Just how do you approach decisions around local versus national suppliers? Is it just anything there that you've followed, or is it just kind of based on item, of course, outside of fresh produce versus packaging and things like that?
Well, it's really recognized density. Economies of scale come into play more so than anything. El Pollo Loco is sort of a Southwest brand right now with some regional, huge followers and people who love the brand and are passionate about the brand. And our uh, goal is to grow and to be bigger. And that's where some of our current purchasing strategies have to be slightly adapted. I know you and I have talked about how growth, particularly in the produce area, will have to be modified. Like I won't be able to go to direct
Right.
or and transport those items as I continue to move across the country into the Midwest and into the East. It will have to be partnering with other suppliers that are reputable, that have high quality items, and that we can integrate into our IT system so that we have visibility to maintain pricing and quality.
It's fascinating. I was with a brand this week that, is focused on growth, not just domestically, but internationally, and with that comes a whole other function of questions around even just the item components on the menu. Is that appropriate for this culture to the next? And then with that, even further on the menu items that are, easily translatable, the suppliers that are localized in that region are always a better bet, and just in terms of the flavor offering and really kind of understanding the dynamics, I guess, across country lines. It is so fascinating, to talk to the same product supplier, but, from 4 different, regions of the world. Yeah. Alright, so let's dive into visibility. So, as technology has advanced over the years, of course, it's given us great access into understanding more of the behind the scenes. Um, Talk to me about your current visibility into your supply chain and any tools that you're able to use that really allow you and your team members to be experts.
So, as I mentioned earlier, we started when I got here with Excel, and it was just daunting. I had gone to our partner at the time and said, "Can you give me trailing 12 months of store level detail purchases?" And the spreadsheet that came back was like you couldn't even technically navigate it. It was so large, and being able to pivot and look at data was something that was really hard. So the first thing I asked for when I came in was a supply chain software, and I had evaluated several over the years, and the one that I knew that I could implement it the fastest was AeroStream. And we partnered up with the team, and we were able to do a real quick deployment that we had in place prior to a distribution RFP that we did this year and just recently completed a transition to PFG Customize. And it was like night and day being able to not uh, be reactionary in our behavior and be able to pull this data down just from the transition itself and the forecasting and being able to make sure that it ran as smooth as possible, that our operators didn't feel any bumps or hiccups other than the typical norming of delivery cycles. But the Aerostream system gave us so much flexibility, whether it be contract management, working with our suppliers on hand inventory, but it has sort of created this holistic environment that we have a dashboard that tells us real time what the pulse is of our supply chain. The contract management dashboard is invaluable for us because we have a lean team and we don't have time to sit and audit all day long. So we have even integrated our partners at PFG into the system where they're in there daily for us, not only from the FSIM piece, but from just the inventory monitoring. Instead of us going back and forth, we create subscription fields for them. They're able to go in and pull specific metrics around mini modules, which are our versions of LTOs or limited time offers, And we stay so close to things that we're able to react in real time and see issues coming at us because there might be a shift based on a marketing event or a particular promotion that the guests are engaging at higher than forecast. So it's
Mm.
really formed our ability and created these like really helpful feedback loops with our operators, our distributors, and then we're able to share these things that we're seeing with our operations teams and our marketing partners, so that we can effectively manage the menu module from day one to the last day.
It's absolutely spot on about AeroStream. It just puts you kind of more in a proactive instead of a reactive state. That's so cool. I think many can relate to being with a brand right now that could possibly be pulling reporting using Excel, and just don't understand that there's other options out there that really provide that enhanced visibility. So thank you for sharing that. You'd mentioned also in our pre-call Peachworks. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys are using Peachworks?
So we have a back office system called Beyond. It's part of the company Peachworks, and we use it like most companies to monitor waste in receiving inventory. We've integrated our distributors, and we control our ordering platform in the back office, meaning we don't have our team members log into a distribution platform and place their orders. We use that system, and we control the order guide, so they only get and can buy what we put on there. It's great for us because we don't run into issues with, substitutions or things crashing out that we can't control, or price variances because things were substituted and we didn't catch it. The other thing that we're doing is we're going in and reevaluating the efficiencies within that system. For instance, yield on products, recipe, different things like that, so that we can help the operators be more proactive, whether it be to get these numbers tightened so that it can do predictive prep or it can do predictive ordering, but to shave time in the day so they can spend more time focusing on the guest experience. These are all evolution things. They're not like ever finish line things. So there's continuous improvement process in place. And I'm so fortunate to have an amazing operations services team that is just dedicated to making sure that, to my point earlier, that we can focus on the guest and the operator is not spending a lot of time managing the systems of the restaurant, because those things have become automated or easier to use.
Wow. Making sure you're using the product in the right way. That is so cool. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Um, okay, I want to back a little bit further out before we go into more of industry insights and technology and actually talking a little bit more about AI. Are there any risks that you're tracking today that you think others in the industry may be overlooking, maybe as a result of your access to these tools and technology?
Um, you know, it is more of an anecdotal tool, than anything right now for us. It's been amazing to be able to pull pure data out of Aerostream or supplier databases or help with RFP analysis or freight analysis. The AI tool has really helped with the drudgery of work. I don't know if we fully tapped into what others may have been utilizing it for, but I think we're getting there. The analytics and forecasting is something that I've really enjoyed playing around with. As we activate different, marketing promotions or events, whether they be social, loyalty-based, or just purely, mail, they each individual activation performs differently. So I've been trying to track these activations by dates, and to see the way they sort of kick in. So I know what's real, meaning that's going to be sustained activity, and what's because of the heightened awareness of the consumer, because of what a great job our marketing team has done of putting it in front of the guests. So that's really where I've tried to focus and use the AI piece. And we've got fantastic menu analyst, data analytics senior director, Pam, who really helps and dives in and helps us see how these different levers and activities that marketing can do can affect us. Because as you can imagine, when you're running a finite menu module with something that is run just for as an ingredient for that module, you don't want to end up with excess supply and you certainly don't want to run out. So partnering internally and then taking this data, from an anecdotal standpoint, and then feeding into the next one just helps us tighten our forecast and get more surgical in the way we approach each menu module after that. We're getting really good at it. And I think over time, as we create sort of a bucket of um, menu types. For instance, a module focused on bone-in chicken is going to perform differently than a module that's focused on quesadillas, even though they may have similar activations, meaning dollar off or things like that. Being able to partner with the marketing team and then take that data and lay it over our data from how that moved the needle in terms of cases is just going to make us better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think using AI as an agent and a function with our teams is what really makes it powerful, especially with the marketing component. And again, as we take a brand and either pivot different ingredients inside it or product placement, but then you also want to have different messaging. How are you speaking to your loyal guests versus wanting to capture the family versus wanting to capture new or we call it rookie guests? AI is just so powerful to support some of that. And I think everyone can use help and support in better, defining how they can help forecast. And it's such a challenge because of the different components, right? You just never know how different new menu or LTO menu items are going to perform. And then you've got the digital interfaces with web apps and some of the advertising that can push kind of more instantaneous volume in certain markets and, just how to counterbalance for all that. It's so interesting.
I'm excited of what's coming. Like it feels like we were in a cave being lit by a torch where where we were 20 years ago, right? Like, I mean, it was pivot tables and index lookups, and you were trying to build macros that if one thing was off, they didn't work, and you spend most of your time troubleshooting them. And today, to be able just to grab a Power BI table and Airstream and pivot the data to look at it differently and export it out, then take that data and apply it against other data, and try to derive either synergistic effects that can happen by being more thoughtful about your approach, or just unintended consequences that may have happened that you didn't notice is so helpful because when you go forward, it becomes a component of how you approach that next problem.
Sure. How about just in the food service industry, overall? We could talk about innovation and technology with this. Are there any trends that you're seeing right now that are capturing your attention?
Well, I'm sure we're not unique in the fact that we are seeing more and more younger consumers, the Gen Zs, the millennials, take over for the Gen X and boomers as they continue to um, age up, if you will, not out. But
Mhm.
and frequency switches between those demographics is something. So you have to be more thoughtful about. And our leader Jill in the marketing service CMO has just done such a great job of thinking about how to approach those guests and what they're looking for while not alienating the guests we have today.
Sure.
Loco was founded on bone-in chicken, and we do a ton of family meals. We do a ton of 2 and 3, 4-piece meals, which we also have to think about that more active lifestyle of people on the go with handheld items and other things that are easier to eat, but still provide that unique dining experience, that powerful, unique offering from a flavor standpoint or a differentiator that is going to create that craveable item going forward. But that's also something you can't sort of rest on your laurels. You constantly have to be innovating. And I know our culinary teams does a great job of staying on top of the analytics, whether it be data essentials or other options out there like Technomics, but also partnering with our suppliers. Our suppliers are just a fantastic place to come in and look at innovations just from pure flavor.
Mhm.
And Chef Renee has done just a great job since he's come on board. He came on shortly after I did, but just took the reins and started coming up with such amazing flavors and concepts and ideations. And I'm excited about what's in the pipeline. I think it's going to really help us start filling that funnel with more and more younger consumers. And the brand has such tremendous upside as we continue to grow and just take this heritage and introduce more and more consumers across the United States with these unique menu offerings.
Yes, unique menu offerings, new menu offerings. We're going to get into it as we kind of focus more in on El Pollo Loco for this section. I'm from Southern California. I'm very excited, to talk more about the ingredients here. Very familiar with the brand. I still have memories leaving soccer games, going with my family, sitting down for a nice warm meal. Quality ingredients. I can attest to that. Being a supplier, interfacing with your team, extremely stringent QA requirements. So you know, you can be assured if you walk into an El Pollo Loco, you're getting the best bang for your buck and really good fresh, produce and menu items. So again, a brand that's been in our industry for over half a century, started in Mexico, came into California in the '80s, um, and, uh, and let's kinda go over just overall, how many US restaurants are you guys at right now?
499.
499? What's gonna be the 500? Do we know yet?
It's coming up. Our Pollo Loco, like many brands who've been around for a while, have that little bit of contraction and growth, but we're so excited about what's coming. Liz, Tim, and Ira on our leadership team have just laid out a fantastic pipeline of continued growth, but our franchise partners have as well. And as we look to new states and new territories, taking what you described, that heritage of our food, that fantastic product, and introducing new families and new generations to it is something that I'm really excited about. I love that you talked about your experiences because, being from Louisiana originally, I hadn't been exposed to the brand a lot before I came on board. And you hear things about brands like Chick-fil-A with that deep, loyal cultist following, In-N-Out Burger, same thing. And when I came out to California and I saw how much people loved El Pollo Loco, it just felt like, wow, this is a secret. And they opened a restaurant in Colorado before I'd come on board. And I went and tried it. And I was like, this is amazing. It's really good. And Colorado, if you may not know, has had an influx of people from Texas and an influx of people from California. But as Californians who
Sure.
into Colorado, we're so excited about our El Pollo Locos that came out. We have two there now with more coming. But the biggest thing I noticed is families eating together in a QSR restaurant. Like, when's the last
Yes.
time you walked into some other QSRs and you saw a table of 8 sitting there as a family sharing the same meal, right?
Right.
You see that even in casual dining, everyone has a different entree. But with El Pollo Loco, people came together around our chicken, our fire grilled chicken, and we're sitting there and talking in a QSR
Yeah.
restaurant, right? It's something that I found so amazing because I've always believed that food is our true way to connect. We've taken the thought of, I don't want to be concerned about making a meal. I just want to have the experience of spending time with my family. And to your point, where y'all went after soccer was the exact thing. You didn't want to focus on the meal, but you wanted to make sure you nourished yourself with great food and good times. And that's what I think we bring to the brand as long as we continue to pay homage to what truly was our great food. And we continue to focus on that quality, but giving the guest the opportunity to share that moment together.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, the brand has been said to sit kind of between QSR and fast casual, and I think most units have a drive-through, is that correct?
You have about 40 that don't, but don't hold me to that too much, but it's a pretty low number.
Okay. And it's franchised for the most part, right? About 70/30.
Pretty close, yeah.
So and we like you said, you've got a ton of new items, new branding happening this year. I wanna get into specifically the fresh items. I read a little bit about it. It's got the Fresca salad, Fresca wrap. So again, we've got the portability there. Lots of delicious, healthy items to choose from.
It is not like what you might see at a typical burger or fast food chicken place. This product is slow grilled and the quality, tenderness, the juiciness, the flavors, all of it. And to your point on the Fresco wraps, what better way to complement those fresh produce flavors, fresh cheeses, all of those, than putting that chicken, that wonderful citrus marinated chicken in there.
How about the values? I've seen this Let's Get Loco. Talk to us about what that means and just the overall values behind El Pollo Loco.
Oh yeah, we were so excited to recently launch the Let's Get Loco rebranding. Like I said earlier, the marketing team has just put so much effort into it, but they positioned it as a call to action, which is something that I just found so smart. When you say to your family, "Let's get loco," it could have so many meanings. Just let's go eat El Pollo Loco, or let's have passion, and that's where I think we really did a good job of trying that together. Our passion is our chicken, and is it easy to have such a passion around chicken? But the campaign has just been so fantastic. I don't know if you've seen the full video that we released around it, but it just ties the heritage and the brand so well. And it really helps because we have a tenured franchise base too. And their passion has been there since day one about serving the best fresh quality chicken. So I love what we've done with that. And to your point, tying it into our menu modules, the freshness, the everything comes through just so seamlessly.
That's making me hungry thinking about it. All right, so 2025, what makes it a different year for El Pollo Loco? I think we probably have covered it just with the brand campaign alone and some of the growth that's in the pipeline, but maybe you can tie it together. And what makes you most excited about 2025 for El Pollo Loco?
The You can have a brand that has departments or components that all function independently to achieve a common goal. What I think is really different about El Pollo Loco for this year is our leadership taking more of a synergistic approach to how we are managing the business. We're combining and merging the different areas, having more thoughtful conversations. We have a process called 4D, which brings together our operations and our marketing and our supply chain teams to talk about just the way, to the point I made earlier, the levers we pull impact the team. And is this accretive to the brand? Is this going to make us better? Is there an ROI here that is going to give the brand a better footing as we go forward? And I think being empowered by our leadership's teams to question and work together and have healthy debate has really been something that I have been so pleased to see, and I think is going to be a differentiator for 2025. Siloing is one of the worst things an organization can have, but being able to collaborate and grow is really how a brand builds a culture. And that philosophy helps you become stronger and better as you move forward and try to deliver on your plan and how you can reinvigorate our brand and bring it forward to new consumers and grow it again.
Lee. Mm. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot for what I like to call the final mile. And here we're going to go into the last 5 minutes where I put you a little bit on the spot with quick fire questions, some of them getting a little bit more personal and reflective. How
Okay.
about a favorite tool in your workday that saves you the most time?
Man, I'm just gonna sound like I'm a commercial, but I love logging in and seeing my dashboard on Airstream. We have so many, and I don't know if this is the right term, but there's so many widgets and everything has red, green, and yellow stoplight. So I know immediately where to go in the morning. Um, and it's just laying there for us to react to should there be an issue. But the cool thing about it is because it has different stages of this is what it looks like in 3 days, this is what it could look like in 5 days, this is look like 7. I know how to attack those things from an urgent and important standpoint. So that has just been a game changer for me. I don't have to wonder what's happening anymore or what's going to happen to
Mm,
us. And
mm.
it's been huge. I just love it.
Take the wonder out. There you go.
Mhm.
You live in Colorado. What is your
Yes.
favorite thing to do on the weekends? That is a beautiful state to live in.
I am very fortunate where I live in Colorado. I live right up against the foothills, the Flatirons, and I gotta tell you, waking up and looking out my window and seeing those beautiful mountains, and my wife will tell me all the time her favorite time of year is when you can look out and see the beautiful grass in the early spring and the snow-capped mountains behind, but I just get awestruck. I like to get in the car and drive up 93 towards Boulder, and I can tell you I've probably done it 1,000 times, and the view and it just does it for me, and I'm a car guy. I like old 4 by 4s and things like that, so rolling the windows down and putting some good music on and just driving through the foothills and, up into the mountains up 72. I love it. I'm not necessarily a skier, but I love the beauty of Colorado.
I love driving, and I love what you said, even just the same routine road, but as long as it's clear farm fields, roll down the windows, and I love driving. That's
Mm.
awesome. But you travel. So you office in Costa Mesa or brand in Costa Mesa. So you go back and forth a lot. And a lot of our listeners travel for work, of course, themselves. And I want to hear, do you have any tips, maybe just from just maintaining your sanity to be so frequently traveling back and forth? Anything that you do to try and keep it familiar or simple or easy?
I mean, I think routine helps, not having to worry about where I'm gonna stay this week or, which is, the right flight to take, but my leadership team has made it really easy on me. They have, allowed me to come in Tuesday through Thursday, so I always catch the same flight home and the same flight out. I stay at the same hotel, which is a block from the office. And we have a really solid routine where, my team meets virtually on Mondays when I'm at home, and we meet together on Thursdays, so we're continuing to build that emotional rapport. But I think the routine of travel, and I know that may sound boring to most people, but when you travel for business and it's not for pleasure, there's nothing more freeing than not having to worry about all of the details in order to get you somewhere to facilitate your goal, which is to engage and interact and try to produce or be productive in an activity. So for me, that's kind of it. But I do get the benefit, like most of us who travel, of going to some great places from time to time. So I do try to slot myself a couple hours to be a tourist and do some sightseeing and look around, and even occasionally try to bring my wife out and take that moment together, or, add that moment back into what would normally be something that's taken away from us.
Very cool. All right, last question. To the next generation of folks that are coming into supply chain roles, procurement roles, what is your best secret that you're willing to share?
I think empathy. I can't say that enough, but learn who you're supporting, learn who you're working with, understand your supplier base, get to know their business model. You can't have a long-term partnership with a supplier if you're only working on the financial aspect of the relationship. Your
Mm.
only is the transaction at that point, and you can easily be replaced by someone who comes in with a better value equation. Being a good partner to not only your peers and your business partners is crucial. And the other piece too is, as you work your way up in your career, turn around and look who's coming up behind you. Look and see if you can be a support mechanism to them or a mentor to them, because as it goes along, you're going to help remove those roadblocks that you may have had to overcome for them, or at least give them insight into how they might better approach a future problem.
That's so great. I mean, empathy is so critical for those that are so invested in technology and ways of digitally interacting with one another. Thank you for sharing that. You are lovely, Jeff.
You're very kind. Thank you. I've enjoyed working with you over the years. Like, for your listeners, if you need anything, Lauren is there for you. Like, drop of a hat, pick things up. And I was so excited for you at the news of your promotion last year. Well deserved. And I know you enjoy these interactions, and I appreciate you helping bringing us, or at least our insight to others. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And where can people find you? If someone's listening to this episode and they want to reach out, they have a question, they're in a similar experience. Do you mind sharing where people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, like, the easiest way is through LinkedIn. I haven't been as active on LinkedIn lately as I historically have, but it's so easy to reach me through LinkedIn. And you can reach us through our El Pollo Loco website. There's a supply chain link in there if anyone should want to reach out to us and feel they have a opportunity that might help enhance our brand and maybe create a stronger partnership. But as far as, general business community or anyone who is just looking to ask questions, just hit me up through LinkedIn.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great weekend, and maybe you'll get out and get in that car and do a drive for yourself and put your favorite song on and just decompress.
Love it. And for our listeners, there you go. There's your tip for the weekend. Go take a drive. If you learned something today, share this episode. Thank you again, Jeff. This has been just another great episode of Grounded. See you next time. That's a wrap on this episode of Grounded. We've covered a lot of ground as we explored what it really takes to run food service behind the scenes. For show notes, highlights, and our latest market insights, visit us at groundedonthepod.com. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, delivering smarter solutions, greater efficiency, and real savings through connected tech, powerful data, and industry expertise. For more information and to get a personal demo of the Buyer's Edge platform, email me at lauren.mitchell@producealliance.com. And if you liked what you heard, subscribe so you don't miss an episode.